As we've been reporting today, independent Senator, or Family First Senator, in fact, Bob Day, was called by the Prime Minister over the weekend. The PM is urging Bob Day to round up 6 votes for him on the crossbench. If they have amendments, as long as they don't weaken the building industry watchdog bill, well, the government is willing to look at them. 6 votes is what is needed here, but is the Prime Minister, is the Minister for Employment and Workplace Relations actually working on those votes themselves? Or are they just expecting Bob Day to round up those votes? We know Ricky Muir has told Sky News that he has not had a call for the last 8 days from the Prime Minister, from the Minister, from anyone to try and win him over. What about David Leyonhjelm? He joins us now from Sydney. Thank you for your time this afternoon, Senator. Have you had a call yet trying to win over your vote?
I had a call from Michaelia Cash today. I haven't heard from the Prime Minister. And yeah, she was interested in knowing what amendments that I would regard as necessary to pass the bill.
So just to remind us, what are the amendments that you believe are necessary?
Well, I haven't really been all that strong on amendments all along. The only one that I've insisted on is the sunset clause. There are some quite illiberal aspects to the ABCC bill. Reverse onus of proof, removal of the right to silence, a retrospectivity aspect to it. Now, I don't think you could fix those things without gutting the bill, and I'd be surprised if the government was interested in removing those aspects. So I think my solution is to have a sunset clause so that the bill just lapses after a period of time, if it's required at the end of that period, because the issues that it's meant to address are still there, then it can be reenacted by whatever government is in power at the time. Now,
how amenable is the Minister on that, on the sunset clause?
She's fine with that. We already had agreed that before they tried to put us out of business, the crossbench out of business with their changes to the Senate voting laws. So she was actually very, very close to getting 6 votes prior to that. Then goodwill went out the window, and so she's basically starting from scratch again. So she's quite happy with the sunset clause. The trouble is, I'm not happy.
No, well, okay, you're not happy obviously with the Senate voting reform, but to be clear, if they agree to a sunset clause, will you back the bill?
I'll back it to the second reading stage. That's if it gets that far. I wouldn't guarantee it'll even get that far in the Senate, but if it gets the sunset to the second reading stage, I'll vote for it. Whether I vote for it on the third reading, the final stage after consideration of amendments and so forth, does depend a lot on what happens between now and then.
Okay, what do you make then of the Prime Minister telling Bob Day if he can bring 6 of the crossbenchers together with amendments that don't weaken the bill and perhaps extend the sort of authority that we're going to have the Building and Construction Commission to other sectors? Is that possible?
Well, that's not how you do it on the crossbench. We're not a party, we're not a bloc, we're not a group. We're lucky if we agree on what day it is. So the idea that poor Bob could be given the job of rounding 6 votes up is insane, and in fact Bob has said he's not going to do it. What I find interesting is the fact that when Malcolm took over as Prime Minister from Tony Abbott, he had the time to ring us all personally, and he had nothing in particular that he needed to talk about, but he called us anyway. Now he needs our votes. Well, supposedly he needs our votes. He wants Bob to do his legwork for him. Now, I don't think that signifies serious commitment to getting the ABCC bill through the Senate. What I think it signifies is posturing. It's symbolic activity. What it's intended to communicate is that he's trying to talk to the crossbench, and then if it all just gets too hard, he can call a double dissolution and say, no, I did my best, couldn't talk to those silly crossbenchers, now we have to have a double dissolution.
But what about the counter-argument here that this idea of the building industry watchdog has been around a very long time? It existed under the Howard government. Labor got rid of it, and the government's tried to bring it back. It's been rejected once already by this Senate. Does the government really need to go through haggling, negotiating with 8 different crossbench ideas, proposals, amendments? Are we at the point now where everyone knows what this bill is about, you take it or leave it?
Yeah, well, if that's the case, it'll be left. The crossbench has already signified that's the case without amendments. I've heard other crossbenchers say, under current circumstances, I'll leave it. I mean, what we're having is a gun pointed at our head saying, if you don't vote for it as it is, so you're going to get a double dissolution. That's not much of a threat, really. I mean, if you look at it from the point of view of each individual crossbench senator, a double dissolution is often, in many cases, a better chance of them retaining their seat, and because it halves the quota. You know, it's not much of a threat, really.
David Leyonhjelm, we will have to leave it there. Senator, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
The Liberal Democrat Senator David Leyonhjelm there. As we mentioned